Awesome. So number one on our assignment says describe your ethnic heritage. So do you do anything specific to observe that? So what do you guys want to share?
I have Scottish, English, and Norwegian, but I don't think I've ever done anything for any of that.
That's cool, though.
Yeah.
I know my husband has Scottish. He's Scottish too, and their family is very big into. They know their Tartan flag. They know their coat of arms.
It's my dad's side, and my aunt does a lot of the like Scottish games, and she lives in California too. And she just went to some kind of Scottish festival or something. And I know like some of my dad's side tries to do some of that stuff, but I don't know, just my immediate family, I don't really think we've really done anything. I think it would be cool too, though. I just don't know. I haven't learned too much about some of that as much as I should.
Yeah, it was kind of my husband's parents. It's on his mom's side, and she was very much into it too. And her side of the family. I mean, I think when her brother died, they all, her brother's kids, all dressed in. They have kilts and everything, so they're dressed in the tartan plaid for that for their clan. I guess they call it their clan. So
yeah,
but we haven't kind of perpetuated that as much either. So
that's really cool, though.
That is cool. Yeah, it'd be fun to find out what your tartan is, as they say.
Yeah.
What is the last name? What's the Scottish name?
Or
is the Scottish name.
Or I guess is, I can't remember. They told me something about men, but I'm not totally sure. I think there's one other, but I don't remember. And then I think the English, I had a great-great-grandpa on my mom's side come from England. And I don't remember if it was like Ray or Sheffield on my mom's side that was from there, but I should learn more about this. It kind of made me intrigued. Like, so I might have to ask my mom more about it.
I'm just boring English all the way, both sides of the family. Just came from my dad's side came from England, my mom's side came from England. So culturally we don't do anything. I'm not a fan of English food.
Yeah.
So I consider myself one of those Euro-American dominant group.
Yeah, I know.
I'm the one who discriminates against all the other. Then I guess you'd say I identify with the American ethnicity, and my food of choice would be hamburgers, hot dogs, and the American flag.
Agreed.
And my holiday is the 4th of July. So
yes. There we go. That's what we do. We celebrate 4th of July.
Yeah.
So, we have lots of different ancestry, and my great grandpa would always tell me about it. But like as far as celebrating it, we didn't do a ton. But we do have Scottish ancestry. I was just trying to pull up the last names because there's a few, but I couldn't get that far. And we've never really done anything about that. But my little brother went on a choir trip to England and Scotland recently.
Oh, how fun!
Last year, and so he brought home like kilts that he had looked up our family names. So he brought those home for him and my two brothers.
Very cool.
So that was fun. He spent like $400 on that, which was crazy. He's like, Mom, I have to. It's our heritage. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. And then, but the one thing that we did celebrate, my great grandmother was 1/4 Native American, and yeah, and she's the best. Okay, I'm gonna show you a picture of her mom.
Okay. What Native American tribe?
Cherokee.
Cool. cool.
But it's weird because like her last name is severely boring.
Oh darn.
It's just Vance. But yeah, here's a picture of her.
Oh, very cool.
Here. And then this is her when she was a lot older and
Uh-huh.
the end of her life. But they would always talk about that, just that heritage, and so we would make different, I don't even remember what they were all called, but we would do a lot of like Native American foods, and we all learned like how to make our own homemade jerky. Like we eventually bought a dehydrator, but first we learned how to like dry it outside, and so like growing their own food was always super important to my grandparents, which like I know it was to a lot of people during that time, but anyway, they really enjoyed it. And my great grandma had a pair of moccasins and a handmade beaded necklace that I have now. I tried to just find the necklace for you guys. That's why I got up a second ago, but I couldn't find it. So that was something that I always was really proud of, you know?
Yeah.
Just from a young age, I remember my grandma was a really small woman, and so she wore like these tiny little moccasins. And I don't know, she just, so when I was a kid and we did presentations on things, like I would always pick Native Americans, and I would wear the moccasins and the necklace, and
that's very cool.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that's been super important to us. But I think that since they've passed away, it's kind of taken a backseat, which makes me kind of sad.
Yeah.
But we did always do, like, people say that like fry bread is a very Navajo thing, and it is, but it's also a Cherokee thing, so we would do that a lot.
Yeah.
And just things like that, like Native American desserts. I never knew what they were called, but they were delicious. So I should pull out her recipe book.
Yeah. Well, that's so fun. I mean, that's kind of where I'm envious of people who have, I mean, you know, I come from England, but what do you do? It's English. I mean, there's just nothing. I mean, like I said, their food is, it's awful.
Yeah, I'm a picky person, so I'll eat a meal.
I hear that fish and chips is okay.
That's true. Fish and
I guess my mom does that a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I can, and trifle. My mother-in-law makes a really good non-alcoholic trifle, because typically trifle has rum in it. And so I learned, so I'm glad you guys reminded me. I did learn how to make trifle, and we are fish eaters, but I haven't, actually we have made breaded fish. So two things that I can consider.
Yeah.
Food that I'm willing to identify with. That's funny. Yeah. And I've actually never been, I mean, I've been in the Heathrow airport, and that's about as far as I've gotten to England. So
there you go. Fun. So then it says, like, what trends do you see among your group? And the first thing that comes to my mind is like the only thing that we can like even all remotely say is like, well, we kind of sort of know where we come from, you know? But I think that is a huge, like, I don't know, I think it used to be very important to people where they came from, and now we don't focus on it so much. Even in the church, like where we do family history, I think we don't always focus so much on the where, but just the who, you know?
Well, it's interesting that all three of us have, at least in some way, Scottish background. I'm married into Scottish background, but both of you. So that's interesting that there's a common thread there.
Yeah.
And I can say that my ancestors from England actually came, they were converts to the church in England and came to Nauvoo. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, they were some of the first saints to come to Nauvoo and then cross the plains. So,
that's really cool. Okay, so number 3. Well, does anyone have anything else?
No.
Okay. Number 3 says, one element of optional ethnicity that Waters describes in her article is that some people identify with an ethnicity that they do not officially belong to. Some may have married into that heritage, while others may love the culture. In an LDS context, some returned missionaries strongly associate with an ethnicity from their mission field. Do any of you identify with one of these types of ethnicities, and how so?
really think that I did. I think the closest thing I could think of is my boyfriend is Mexican. And so if we did eventually get married or whatever, I guess that would be kind of like in that category. But I mean, other than that, like, I don't really think I consider myself into anything else that I'm not born into, I guess. I just never really given any of that very much second thought. I don't know.
I guess I mean, not in a major way, but in a small way, I identify with the Scottish heritage because I married,
Yeah.
Scottish. So in that very small way, I probably do. My daughter, though, she falls into the whole returned missionary. She went to Argentina, and she very much identifies. I mean, not to the point where she, completely. It's hard.
Yeah.
She loves several of the Argentinian dishes. It just makes her super happy to see anything Argentinian, the Argentine flag. So she definitely. I mean, we've all known missionaries where I think they really do it. They identify. It makes them really. I can see how it does for her. For me, not so much. I think there's really cool things about a lot of different cultures that I love. Like for me, the American Indian, I have always been fascinated with American Indians. I love the music and the drums and the I know there's a proper way of saying this. I actually talked to, I went to a powwow and I talked to who's an American Indian, and I was commenting how I love their dress. And I said costume, and that was the wrong way to say. So I can't remember what they call it. It's another common word. But anyway, I love that. I have absolutely no connection, but I think it's very cool. So for some reason, with that.
That's cool. I don't think that there's any that I could say that I identify with, but I just like on campus. So I've been walking around on campus, meeting different groups for projects and stuff lately, and it's so fun because the World Cup is going on, and you will see like just this huge group of people sitting in the MC that normally aren't there watching soccer on the big screen. And it's so fun to see like Argentina scores a point and everyone jumps up and they scream. And it's like, it's so fun. And then like Mexico, all these different countries. And then sometimes you can clearly tell like it's some country in Africa and most of the people over there are black, but there's like 6 super white nerdy guys over there just cheering their guts out with the same excitement and just so loud and cheering the same way as the people that are natively from there. And it was really, it's been really fun to see. And it's made me think a lot about this class because you can tell like they do identify with those cultures now, with those ethnicities, and like that is their country too, you know that they love America, but like they will also always love Ghana,
Yeah. That must be fun to really see it in action on campus.
Oh yeah. It has been like the most fun thing, and the energy in the room just blows my mind. And so you can tell that it's like a real sincere thing,
Yeah.
So I think that is super cool and such a cool example of it because you can see like there's no division among them either.
Right.
They're all just one big family, like supporting and loving this country and this heritage and these soccer players. And it's just been really cool to watch. And I'm like, wow, I wish that I liked soccer or had like
seriously.
But
I have some very very fierce soccer lovers in our family, but I myself am not a huge fan. So
I'm definitely a football fan because I live in the South. So, but it's cool. Okay, so number 4. Do you think that you have the freedom to select the content and strength of your ethnic identity, or does society choose how you're labeled based on your appearance and stereotypes? How might this vary for groups Well, let's just go with that first one, actually.
Well, I feel like society's pretty, they usually base you for the most part upon appearances. Like everyone tends to kind of stereotype even if you don't realize it. And I think that's the majority of most people tend to do that. And sometimes it might not even be in like trying to be in a bad way, but it just happens to happen, you know?
Yeah, I agree, but I think also as, you know, being, which it sounds like we all through kind of the Euro-American heritage, we have a more of an opportunity to identify, if we choose to, with a different culture.
Yeah.
We can, you know, we can identify. I mean, obviously, we can identify the ones that we're actually from, whether it's England or Scotland or Germany or, you know, any of the European countries. But I think we could even identify if we wanted to with another country that we're not necessarily from, like for me, you know, Scotland, because we are Euro-American. So I think we can get away with it easier than somebody like you said, Ashley, who looks a certain way.
Yeah.
It was weird for me to see someone who looks Asian American to identify with, you know, an Italian background or something. But you know, everybody can if they want, but society is going to make it a little difficult for them.
Yeah, I actually saw an interview with someone a couple months ago where she was Irish and I think Vietnamese. And she was a lot more Irish than Vietnamese, but people just saw the Vietnamese. And so they'd always be like, "You're Asian." And she's like, "Well, part of me is." She's like, "But actually, like, we're from Ireland. Like, I've always lived in Ireland. I love Ireland. Like, it's my home. I'm an Irish citizen. And so, yeah, I have some Asian roots and I love those, but like, I don't really know that much about them, you know?" So I thought it was interesting. But I think people do that with us too. Like, if I were to be like, "Yeah, I'm Native American," people would be like, "Yeah, right. You just want scholarship money," which I'm actually not Native American at all. My grandmother was adopted by my Native American great grandmother, and so I'm not, and I can't like claim it physically. But to me, that heritage is so important because like it made my grandmother who she is and gave her the work ethic and the values that eventually led her to the gospel, and like so those things are really precious to me. But I don't share them with most people because they'd just be like, "Oh, you're just saying that because it's like cool to be Native American," you know? So I do think that there is some of like society dictates what we can and can't be.
I definitely think that's true. It's true. And I think we all make that same mistake. Like I have to admit that it throws me almost every time when I see someone who is African American. I just immediately, because I'm from America, I assume the person's going to have an American accent. So when I hear an African American with a strong South African or English accent, you know, I just assume he's American because, you know, that's
you're in America.
I'm in America and that's what I see. So, you know, I just think, oh my gosh, this guy is English, you know, born and raised in England, and it always kind of throws me a little bit. So,
but then he really might not be African American at all.
Born and raised in England, he's, you know, not African American. He's probably English, you know.
Yeah.
Pure blood English.
Yep.
It's true. We do. I guess that's what our teacher called the illicit bias, where we're all guilty to some extent.
Yep.
Very true. Awesome. Does anyone else have anything else they want to share?
No. I
think so.
Alrighty. Awesome. Well, I will stop the podcast.